It's been a while. I've been messing around with this new GPD Win Mini 2025 edition. It's not that new, I guess. It's like 6 months old. I mean, it's still pretty new. It came out this year. I wasn't interested at first, just because I thought, the ergonomics of this display wasn't gonna be good. Look at it. It's quite compact. It's a 7-inch, 7-inch 120 hertz VRR display. It's IPS, it's not OLED. But, I thought I'd give it a try. After messing around with the iNeo 3, I'll link that review down below if you guys want to check that out. I thought, that one's bulky, it's big. It's basically kind of gives me the same problems I have with a Steam Deck when I bring it along with me when I'm traveling. And so I feel like that's kind of the biggest issue. During my time with the iNeo 3, I was thinking about, man, like maybe I should revisit this. I was also looking at the iNeo 1S, but that wasn't out at the point of when I purchased this guy here. Now it is available, but it won't be, available to get in my hands until later. But I found that I don't really think I need to get that one. It's a dual screen display. It also has a version where it has the keyboard, but this one, I'm really happy with this overall. And you guys to see here, I've been using this device for about a month. I really wanted to give you guys my kind of like final quote unquote impressions, just a longer term review. If you guys like that style of content versus more of the 2-week or 1-week review period, let me know down in the comments below. It does help me if you guys sub and like the video, so that way I know the algorithm and all that stuff. It helps me get the videos out and let people know whether you guys should get this product or not. So GPD, when I bought this product, it was during the whole tariff nonsense that was going on, and so they did send it to me kind of like almost like an open box. The box itself I have here, it wasn't like sealed with plastic or anything, and they told me that they removed the manual and stuff like that. So I don't know, the packaging kind of leaves a little bit to be desired. It does come with this grip as well. Hopefully I can get it. There you go. It has a dedicated grip. It's okay. To be honest, I only used it once just to put it on, just to see if it would work, and then never used it since. But it's there. It does work quite well. I just find that you're sacrificing quite a bit just for, the ability to have, dedicated grip, which I don't know. I think you should get a different product if that's what you want, but it does have that modulability. It kind of reminds me of the Retro Pocket Flip 2. So yeah, but speaking of which, let's compare the Flip 2 real quick. So here's it on the side here. Try to give you guys an idea of what to expect size-wise. You can see it is, a little bit thicker, of course, but not that much thicker. And look at this. It fits inside, but again, like it's not that much thicker. And I don't know. I like that the fact that this is portable, it's powerful, and it's compact. It's just, yeah, quite amazing for what they did here. So, but kind of give you guys a quick tour of the device. You see it down here though, it does have a lip. Kind of lets you kind of open up the clamshell quite easily. This button here, or switch I should say, it switches between mouse mode and gamepad mode for the controller section. I forgot to mention this corner here, it does have a key loop. You want to put your loop stuff there, keychains, etc. Here you do have dual USB 4. Actually, I think it's only one USB 4, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check and put in the comments, but you have your vents here. You have a reset button here. It's not a button, but you can insert something like a needle or something and reset the system if you need to. Has an LED indicator here. Right now it's sleeping, so you can see it's going on and off. Headphone jack, micro SD slot card. You have your USB type A. It is USB 3, I believe, 3.2 if not mistaken. You do have your bumpers and triggers. Quite nice. They feel okay. The trigger at first I found it's like really smooth, like really smooth, I should say. Bumper feels fine, feels great. But you see, I don't know. What do you think? But so far, not a big deal. It works. Just to kind of give you a quick comparison, the spring on the Retroid, like it feels more stiff than the GPD, but again, not a huge problem. You have the fan in the back. You have this like embossed part here. It's fine. So let's open it up real quick. I do want to mention that this part here is like metal or aluminum, so it does feel cold. And you see it does open up quite well, and it opens and closes like at pretty much any angle. Like you can hold it any angle, which is nice. Comparatively, right? Like this other clamshell with the Flip 2, right? It really only opens up here and maybe here, but in my review, I mentioned that this is like pretty light. So, quite a bit different there, just for like accessibility and playability in terms of like how you want to play the device. So I like that has the option here for that. So talking about the keyboard real quick, it's pretty, short travel. Clicks are not very loud, which is good. It is kind of like, because everything's so, condensed, you can kind of not press buttons correctly. But I feel like, you do have the F and the J button. It is, there is an indent there, so you can kind of feel your way around the device. If you're playing at night or something, once you press a button, you'll know, because this does light up. You can turn it off like so with the function button, and this does work. You see it does work on Linux, on Bazite. They do implement the scheming for this. One thing that doesn't work for functioning is the brightness control. So if I do this, you see there's no brightness control. You kind of have to just manually do that. Go in here and change the brightness. But volume does work. You see it does turn on, and yeah, you do get volume. So that works. I do think this comes in quite clutch, to be honest. When you're typing stuff in really quickly, if you're in the desktop mode, using it for a little bit, like, I think that's great. It's awesome. It comes in clutch. It doesn't really get in the way when you're playing games, and I find that it's awesome. I do find that the buttons here, the start and select, the menu, it's a little small. That is one compromise you do make. So when I'm playing, and if I need to like hit start or select or something like that, you do have to kind of like feel your way through. It's quite small there, but not a huge problem. The D-pad is about the normal size, basically about the size of Retro Pocket Flip 2 or Odin. So no problems there. The joysticks, same thing, about a Nintendo Switch size, I would say. Feels fine. And then you do get quite a bit of travel. So let me turn that off so you can see. Go to sleep. You do get quite a bit of travel. It's pretty good. It's pretty deep into the device there, so you get a pretty good travel for both of them. The ABXY buttons, you see they're like kind of clear looking. I do like them. They're a little small. They're definitely the smallest ones I've used. I think they're even smaller than these guys here, like slightly. But you could tell by side by side, about the same size, But yeah, it definitely feels like it's more travel than the Retro Pocket Flip 2, but we're not here to compare the two. But yeah, that's kind of the overall kind of display or input options that you have. You do also have a trackpad in the middle. Works well. It's kind of basically like a laptop trackpad. Not much to say. Like, there's nothing bad. It works well for what you need. If you want to do short bursts on a laptop this small, because it is a 7-inch 120 hertz refresh rate VRR display. So I do like that. The colors look great. I compared it with my Neo 3, and the colors look great. I mean, I can't really tell a difference for a lot of the games I play. Obviously the blacks you can tell a little bit more, but I think overall, can't really tell unless you're like really, pixel peeping. But yeah. So what kind of games have I been playing? So Pirate Yakuza, Final Fantasy 7, Rebirth, Stellar Blade, Wukong, Wuthering Waves. I try to get this working, but kind of doesn't work sometimes, a lot of times, especially lately. Hades. So a lot of, third-person action games, right? There are some RPG games you can play, obviously, but I wanted to play a lot of action games just to get the best use out of this input system here. Just given the fact that it's form factor, the clamshell, all of this, right? Like, how does it feel? So I think that gives you guys the best idea, because if you play an RPG, you can just put it down and do that, right? It's not a huge problem. So yeah, it works fine. So performance-wise, right? It's running a HX 370 from Ryzen, AMD. So basically the same performance as you guys saw with the i-Neo 3. It runs everything pretty well at 1080. You can do 720, obviously. The biggest difference is going to be the TDP, how much output, wattage you're going to allow to the system there. When I'm on battery, I usually do 15 watts TDP, 18 watts. You can do that too, but try to save a little bit more power there. Now, if you do something like 35 watts max, like if it's plugged in or whatnot, you're obviously going to get an hour or less battery. You're going to get the best performance, obviously, but I think there's kind of a limit where it starts to get diminishing returns. And I think it's about that 20 to 28 watt range there, where it does get more performance, but I don't know, I feel like you're getting less gains, to be honest. Things like FSR3 really do help something like the GPD here. So doing that, it's quite good. So let me load up Stellar Blade real quick. And while doing that, I did want to just talk about general performance, things I've noticed, especially when you're at the higher TDPs. The heat thermals is obviously going to be a big question. I'm sure you guys are thinking about it right now, like how hot does it get? Does it get in the way? Stuff like that. So I'll answer that question now. So the answer is yes, you can feel it. Does it get annoying? Kind of. I think it just ultimately depends on you and how you feel about heat, how sensitive you are. Personally, I do feel it more so than other devices. Just the fact that it's so compact, but I'm willing to make that trade-off, to be honest. And I've heard that the previous model from last year, the same one here, it apparently is worse thermally. So apparently this is better. So I can't imagine how the last one was. So that's interesting to hear that, to see that. But yeah, this works quite well. And, so let me go over where you'll feel the heat, and you can decide whether that's a deal breaker for you or not. So mainly, it's going to be the center portion of the device gets pretty hot. You can definitely feel it. You don't really feel it here where thumbs are, where my thumbs are right now. Not here. So it's really in the middle. So if you're here with the D-pad right now, and you kind of touch this, you're purposely touching it, I guess you'll feel it. It does get a little warm. Now that's not the warmest part, really. It's really in the center of the touchpad that gets really hot. And this is when I'm playing it for half an hour or so, right? Plugged in, 35 watt TDP, completely maxed out. I'm pushing this device as far as I can. The fan does get a little noisy. You can adjust the fan curve if you want to. You can do that if you want. I just leave it at default just to get the best thermal performance as you can, just to not throttle the APU there. So this does get pretty loud here. Now, one thing I did want to point out is that the biggest thing is when you're playing, you're going to put your thumb or your index finger like so. Now what happens is that you see the vents on the left side here, they're placed there quite towards the edge there, really, except for there's a screw there, right? But when I'm playing, I'm doing this, right? Put my thumbs here, right? You see my left index finger is right over the vent. That's how I play. So I don't actually put my index finger right on the trigger like this. Kind of makes it feel like there's a gap here, right? It doesn't feel as like comfortable, I guess. So I do this, right? And then I push down like so. But what happens is that when it gets hot, right, you push in this hot air, you're gonna feel it right here. So that's one thing to note. Like if you're gonna get annoyed of something like that, like, you know, just be aware, obviously decide no heat really anywhere there. One thing I wanted to point out is the back here. So when you put your hands like so, right? I'm trying to give you guys the best idea here. Obviously you can feel the fan here, the intake, but it does get a little warm, like right around here. Again, not a big deal. So really, those are the two like major, you know, heat hotspots, I guess. It's right here. If you, depending on how you hold the device, and then, you know, the middle of the trackpad, that's kind of where it is. But, you know, when you're playing this game, you're not going to be really touching the trackpad, right? You're just going to be like, all right, you're just going to be playing, right? You're going to be going down, you know, not a big problem, right? So, you know, right now we're getting what, 70 frames. So it was like getting like 50 to 70 frames. It just depends. I don't want to get too close to this guy. But you know, 50 frames right now, pretty good for what it is. Show you my settings real quick. It is running FSR 3 on high right now. You see there, FSR 3 performance mode, frame gen is on. So basically, I had to turn on like pretty much everything. If I don't turn on, it does get fairly low in terms of frames. So yeah, but you know, it doesn't really drop down. You see the 1%, it's probably not that bad. Like, you know. So yeah, see there, works pretty well. I'm just letting it run a little bit longer just to give you guys an idea like where the heat comes from. So a little bit here, you can feel it on the side right here, but not a big deal. I don't really notice it, to be honest. I just wanted to point it out, you know, as someone that is not as sensitive to this kind of stuff, but I know there's people out there that are a little bit more sensitive to it. So, you know, yeah. The one thing I did want to mention just real quick was sort of a little bit more annoyances is that, so one other note was that there's these like rubber stoppers here to kind of prevent the screen from kind of touching this part of the device here. It does create an indent here, but it is rubber, so not a huge problem. So yeah, just in general though, in terms of the software side of things, you know, Bazite I have installed here, quite good. It is running dual boot right now, so it has Windows and the Linux partition, but I basically never use the Windows side. I don't really need it for the most part. So, but the biggest thing is just Linux stuff, SteamOS related stuff. So Proton layer compatibility, some games are not that great. But one thing I noticed with the GPD and also the INEO 3, it really just applies to the entire APU platform, is when it compiles shaders, it can take quite a while on these type of mobile, kind of like mobile devices, I guess, if you will. Like, yeah, I don't know what it is, if it's the instruction set or something, or just optimization, but it does take quite a while. I remember Wukong taking forever. So I don't know, it's just not optimized, but, and I never really played it on my PC. I just played it on my PC connected to my my TV there, and it works fine. It compiles pretty fast. So I think it's just a you know, a factor of, it's just a function of the performance on these kind of devices. So you might be wondering, like, what's the point of 120 hertz VRR display if you can't really get that, right? Because you guys saw it with Stellar Blade right there, for example, it's only getting 50 to 70. You can get more if you tweak the settings down, but I feel like you pay a lot with the graphics, and I don't think it's that worth it. So, but the biggest thing is that you can play other games like Hades. You can play at 120 hertz, no problem, right? Like RPGs, things like that. You can play all those quite well at those lower TDP as well, right? You can play Hades at like 4 watts, 5 watts. It's great, right? So yeah, I have Hades loaded up right now. You see it's running at about 120 hertz. It's like 110 right now, but I'm sure you can adjust it to get a little bit more. I am running it at, I think, 4 watts, so it's like pretty low, right? Like you can play this pretty much forever, right? So I think that's awesome. Right now it says the battery, 3 hours and 15 minutes there. So yeah, it's quite good. Obviously this is like the beginning area, so not really much there. So yeah, let's just see what's up here. So I've been meaning to play this game. I haven't played it, obviously, so, but wanted to try it out and see, just to give you guys an idea, like lower power games, you can play quite well on this device. You get the best benefits of the display here, the 120 hertz display. Ergonomics, again, I mentioned earlier, right now feels fine to play. I've been playing it again for about a month at this point, and no problems in terms of ergonomics. It's very similar to the Retro Pocket Flip 2. Same kind of comments where it just works well. Having this much extra space to kind of hold the device works really well. You are compromising like slightly, but I don't think it's quite a big deal. What you're compromising, I think the biggest thing is really just the button size and whatnot. Like you do compromise a little bit of that. So, that's just how it is with these kind of devices. But I think the sacrifice is well worth so far. I'm really happy with this kind of configuration. So yeah. And for the most part, I haven't been really playing emulation games on this device. I don't really bother to set it up for PC handhelds, but I have the utmost confidence that it'll work no problem. So you see right now, it does drop from that initial like 10 hertz or frames per second to like 70 to 80. But again, you can just pump up the TDP just a little to get a little bit more power out of it if you want. I find that, like this works great. I'm not really gonna notice the 120 hertz, but it's like close to 90, so I'm like, this is good enough, Let's do that. I'm just randomly picking stuff, but let's try it real quick, right? So let's double it real quick. So you see, you double it. You can tell that it's a lot smoother. Let's see if let's do 12 watts, right? 120 hertz. So you can actually use simple DECI TDP, which is what I'm using right now, and you can actually, tweak it to get the most that you want, that you need. So you see, as soon as I get to go to 8, it doesn't really work, but 9 TDP seems to mostly hold at 120, but we'll have to see right now with some enemies and stuff. So yeah, see, it drops down a little bit, but not a huge deal. So is that worth it? You're gonna double your TDP, right? So you do see right now I lost about an hour or so. So is it worth it? I don't know, it's up to you, but you can do it. It's up to you. So you have the power to kind of be able to push it if you want. So it's just nice being able to kind of play something like this that requires a lot more, instant reaction time, I guess, is with the higher frames and the display capable of doing so. Pretty much the same thing with the iNeo 3, right? Performance-wise, I think the biggest thing is you get the portability. I mean, it's so small. Like for me, I like to. I like to keep my backpack as small as possible, as light as possible. Obviously, this is a little bit lighter than iNeo 3 as well. I think it's like 100 grams lighter or so, maybe 50. Yeah, I do find that it's much more compact. And when I'm traveling and stuff like that, I like to just bring as least amount of stuff as possible. So when I'm going, now I can just bring the Flip 2 for all my emulation stuff, and then the GPD for all my PC stuff. And like, look at it, it doesn't take that much space. Like these two things put together doesn't use a lot of space, which is awesome. I do like that. And so I think that's why this is kind of like my favorite device right now, just for PC handheld stuff. It's just, man, I can bring this with me anywhere. It's compact, it fits in my slings and my bags, my small bags and stuff like that, whereas my iNeo 3 doesn't really at all. So, yeah. So yeah, what do you guys think of the GPD Win Mini, the 2025 edition? Do you think it's worth it? It is $1,300 or so, not including tax, I believe, but it's just for what you get, the compact size, the decent ergonomics actually for what it is. You do, again, make some sacrifices, but you get the power of the HX370 there. So I think it's quite worth it for me. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.